everyone. Yes. Welcome. Let me admit more people. Welcome, guys. Hi. Yes, welcome to the Intentional Book Club, where we're talking about The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron. And we are on week 5. Gang. We are on week 5, and we're just killing it. We're killing it. If you're new here, welcome. Thank you so much. If you caught up with the chapters or you caught up with the YouTubes, thank you. Welcome. This is a safe space where we just get in the nitty and gritty with being intentional. We're adding more meaning to our lives and just being a lot more creative, uncovering a few things, recovering a few things, and just like healing from certain traumas and moving forward. It's a little vibe. If you caught up with the readings, you already know it's a vibe. And if you caught up with the YouTube, you already know how we give it up. So thank you and welcome. So we're going to start off with, oh, that was Tiara Wack, by the way. We're going to start off, oh, thank you for the hair compliments. We're going to start off with, how was our artist dates? Talk to me, how was our artist dates and how was our morning pages this week? Like, we can talk about both. Like, we can start off with the morning pages and then tell me about the artist date. Like, how are you guys dealing with that? Oh, feel free to unmute, or like you can either drop it in the comments. Oh, nobody?
Can I go first?
Yeah.
Okay. So hi, everyone. Good evening or good afternoon, depending on your time zone. So first of all, I love this chapter. This week has been so much better. So I don't know, I just made it my business. Every time that I got up, or every time this week to pray, I was like, okay, you know what? Afterwards, you need to journal. And it's funny because the past couple weeks, I was a little inconsistent, but every time I did write, I would talk about a person. Like, I'm really mad at someone. I was like, you know what? I just need to let it go. I have to stop trying to be a people pleaser. You just can't please everybody. And it's funny, like, once I came to terms with that, I feel like it dissolved. They actually sent me a message and then called me apologizing for their behavior. But I'm like, oh, it's no need. Like, I already let that go in the morning pages. So once I got that apology, I just felt so much better. And I kept thinking about Teresa and her conversation last week, and even in the group chat, about a former best friend, I think it was Teresa, like, how do you like come back from those relationships? So I just felt like getting all of that anger out on the journal. I was like, oh, okay. I'm sorry that you're sorry, but we're in a good place. You know what? You go your way, I go mine, and I still love you, but we're just no longer. I think sometimes we outgrow friendships, but it felt so good, y'all. It felt so good. So I just wanted to get that off my chest. It felt so good. So yes.
That's amazing. That's really, really amazing. That is so good. How is everyone else's morning pages? It's so interesting, like, how much we're releasing when that's happening. Like, I literally feel my self-awareness going up and my tolerance for things going up. Well, good things going up when I'm journaling and I'm just consistent with like pouring out my thoughts and my emotions. Like, it does bring clarity. What about everyone else?
I want to try something that she.
Sorry.
No, you
go ahead.
Go. Okay. This is like the first week. Are you sure?
Yeah, you can go ahead. Sorry, mine's delayed. So when you said go, I was like hopping in, but it's fine. Go ahead.
So this week with the morning pages was the only week that I didn't write as much. I was like counting back for my check-ins to see how many, like if I got 7 out of 7, and I missed 4 days in a row. And I was like, ooh. So I think with the morning pages, I'm going to start doing what she suggested in the book. She says this like 2-step process. She goes, ask for answers in the evening and then listen for answers in the morning, and just write down all different avenues. And I don't know if it's because I'm shedding such old skin and like my new skin is like really, really vulnerable. Like when you pick like a scab, you get like that pink skin. I don't know if I'm like in the pink skin identity that I just don't know anything that my new self likes. So I think it'll be interesting to like write some things down at night and journal about them in the morning, just so I can kind of see where I'm at right now, what frequency I'm on, what kind of things I could kind of be into. Because when everyone's like, what are your hobbies? I'm like, I don't know. I sleep and go to work. Like, and this book club, I'm like, that's all I do. So that I like that she kind of suggests that.
Yeah, I really like that as well. And I do recognize that like some like checking in at night and then like finding the answers in the morning tends to happen that way. And sometimes it's even vice versa, where like I'm a little confused throughout the day, but then after the day happens and I digest it in the night, I just feel a lot better. But I love that you said like the pink skin, like the scab thing. Like I didn't really see it that I hate scabs. They look funny, but I do agree. I think that was a great analogy for that. Brianna, am I pronouncing your name right?
Yeah, it's Brianna. Hi. So this is my first time here. I was just catching up on all the YouTube videos and everything. But yeah, so I actually started reading this. Thank you. I started this series like not a series, but like this book a while ago. And I was like, I felt called to it. And then I saw that there was a group going on. So I was like, this is like perfect. I just felt like, it was calling me. So excited to be here. But I'll say I was doing the morning pages. I actually haven't really fallen off from them. But what I will say is that it's been hard to like have a routine with it. Like I don't remember which chat it was, but everybody was speaking about like the importance of a morning routine. And so what I tend to do is I roll out of bed and I just start them and then literally hop on Zoom and start my day at work. So I think just putting together a morning routine would help the process flow a little bit better.
Yeah, for sure. Do you wake up like right before you gotta go to work? Or do you?
It's bad. Like my alarm goes off and I'm like, oh, okay, I'm up like, 25 minutes to get ready and hop on. So it's not the best routine.
Yeah. I think if you just wake up a little earlier, that might help, but definitely like adding a routine before your day even starts is so powerful. It's powerful. I became a new person with my morning routine for real. And if I don't do my morning routine, I'm kind of slipping back into my old ways. So I do think a morning routine is like very healing. It allows you to be more intentional and make mindful decisions throughout the day. And you just show up as a better person too. And different conversations, everything. Yes. Guys, tell me about your morning pages and your artist day. Are we going on artist dates? Be honest. Oh, we not going on artist days.
No, I want to call out Rafi. Am I saying that right? Because her face looked like, oops, she calling me out. I didn't go nowhere for my artist date. I was home. Does that count though?
It still count. My artist date was right there. It counts.
Okay.
I just feel like I'm struggling with balancing school with everything else, that my artist days always take a hit. And so like I try to compensate by saying, okay, this is my artist day, by just lying down and like taking some time off to read or something. But it's really not like, that's not what I want my artist day to be. So I haven't yet found a balance, and I'm like midway through the semester. So it's tough. I'm still trying.
Yeah. It's very, very tough when you're in school. Is anyone else in school? I'm a full-time student as well. I'm getting my master's right now. It's in nutrition. It's not a game. I'm very overwhelmed. Huh?
That's what's up. A schedule, right? I think a schedule works for me being a single mom. A schedule has been like the biggest thing. Whether I was single mom working full-time and in school full-time. So like schedule was like my go-to. I had to have it stuff planned out, or else it's like, things aren't getting done if it's not written down. So I would suggest, just scheduling it in, and even if it's just a week or two ahead or just 30 minutes of like something, it definitely makes a difference. I noticed, because I had a whole bunch of running around to do over the weekend. I wanted to relax, but I put it in my mind, like Sunday, I wanted to take myself on a little date, do a little self-care date, but that's separate from my artist date. So then I like carved out a time Saturday evening to just I made little like affirmation cards, like something I just wanted to kind of color, but I was like, I kind of wanted some of my own affirmations. I listened to a lot of YouTube videos, but I think read about, how she said in the book, when you read your own writing, your own affirmations in your own writing, it does something to you. So I made little cards. So when I'm doing my yoga in the morning, I could just put the cards around. So when I'm stretching, I could just read those and just kind of absorb in, my own energy, so to speak, just kind of reaffirming things. But it was, I didn't spend that much time on it. I'll be honest with you, maybe like 40 minutes, wasn't even a whole hour. I don't think I made like 10 cards, 12 cards. And, but I still felt better just even having that little bit of time, and then I read, but at least it was like, that designated time I think is key.
It's so important, even if it's 40 minutes. Mine was like an hour today. But if you think about it low key, like, have you guys ever been on a 40-minute date? You get there, you like, oh nah, gotta go. So it's kind of like the same thing. I guess it's the same thing. For me, I'm gonna be honest, like, all right, so 2 things happened to me over this last week. One was I saw this documentary called The Minimalism. And it was a documentary on the important thing. So it was pretty much about like adding more meaning to your life and how less is more, and just being very intentional with the things that you keep in your house and only being surrounded around things that are valuable to you. Right. So it had me in my feelings a little bit because I was looking around. I was like, okay, my books is valuable, my plants is valuable, but I guess I can like do without a lot of some clutter. Like I have a lot of clutter for like my hair. I have a lot of clutter for skin products I don't use. Like I have clutter. So I got rid of all of that, and that made me feel a lot better. But then I found myself like not really checking in with my friends and not really responding to their messages. And I felt like I'm not a jealous person at all. Like I've never in my whole life been a jealous person, but I did over this last week been feeling like a little envious of people who have time. I've been in my feelings a little bit. I've been like, you got fucking time? Like, damn, I don't got no time, yo. And it's really been messing with me because I'm busy with intention, but I'm too busy, and I don't like that. I'm not feeling like myself as much. So today I'm so like, I need to focus on the midterm. I need to focus on so many things. But today I was like, I need to make this a priority. I am going to color no matter what. School gonna have to wait. My phone gonna have to wait. Social media is gonna have to wait. I need to color. I just need it. And the second I was done coloring, I literally felt like everything is okay. Like you're busy, but you're making time to relax. You're making time to be patient. Give yourself that much grace. And it makes all the difference. So I know if you really are feeling busy or you don't know what to do when it comes down to Artist Day, start in small ways and definitely start with like 20 minutes. That's all it really takes to just switch your mood around. And because I'm busy and because I'm always doing things, I know that I'm being productive. Technically, I'm being productive, but it don't feel productive. I don't feel good. I don't feel spiritually high. So I was like, nah, I gotta color. And it made a big difference. My snake is in the back going crazy. He's bugging out. But yes, guys, does anybody else feel like that? Like, am I
Wait, pause. You have a snake? Like a real snake?
Yeah, I have a snake.
Real life? Oh my God, I never met anybody with a snake, and I always want a snake, and people be looking at me like, you want a snake? Look at you with a snake. You really be you feed it mice and stuff? That's the only reason why I won't get a snake, because I gotta feed it like real animals and stuff. That's so dope.
I'm sorry if y'all don't even like snakes, but just
that's so dope. I know some people say like, oh my God.
They're like, what's going on? You're like, what's going on?
How long you had it? I'm sorry, it's off topic, but that's crazy. I just never met anybody with a snake. A girl at least at that.
He's 4 years old. He's still a baby.
You gotta feed him though, like crickets or mice or something, or what do you feed him?
Mice. It's terrible.
See, that's what's I'm struggling with that part, but I love the snake though. That's dope. Anyway, back to the real topic.
Okay. Yes. So does anybody else feel like that? Like, yo, I'm too busy for my Artist Day, or has anyone like been feeling like, I don't want to say envious or jealous, but just like kind of just feeling like, I just wish things were a little different?
Yeah. Hi guys. My name's Anisha. This is my first time on the live call. And I'm actually
welcome.
I have my book here. So as y'all were talking, I just got my book from Amazon. So I've been highlighting some stuff.
Okay.
But for me, I'm a mom of 2, and my favorite thing to do is dance. But because I've hurt my back, I haven't been able to take dance classes, as you know, over the last 4 weeks, as y'all were talking about Artist Day. So I'm like, dang, I got to figure out something else to do that I like because I can't do my favorite thing. So for me, it's like, I hate the kitchen for real. But when I'm gonna call you Mama because that's your name on the screen. When she was talking about the soup last week, I was like, ooh, that sounds the bomb. Like, I'm gonna go in there and maybe try to do that for my artist date, is pick a new recipe and do something. Or like you guys said, paint. So I'm just sitting here like, now I'm like, okay, what other creative idea can I think about being a mom and include my children that I can do besides getting out the house and going to a dance class? So I'm going to pick on that. I'm going to figure that out this week.
Yeah. Okay. I don't really have much advice for that. I just say that I think you could do it. That's what I could say, is that I think you could do it. You're going to do it. I think it's going to be popping. I'm excited for you to come back through to week 6 and be like, guys, this is what me and my kids did, or this is what we did. And I'm actually a fire painter. And just like, we're just going to see how it rolls. Like, it's just time for us to be a little bit more creative, a little bit more childlike.
Exactly. So yeah, it's the fear that gets me, trying to be a perfectionist. Like, we did a paint and sip for Christmas, and I was just trying to be so perfect. And my kids, oh my God, my kids just painting on everything. And I'm like, yo, that looks really good. And I'm over here running out of paint because I'm trying to do the whole damn board. Like, it's
Isn't it?
We be hard on ourselves, right?
Exactly. So I'm like, I'm gonna try that again, and we're not gonna be so hard on ourselves, and we're gonna see what we come out with.
Yeah.
And isn't it so interesting how like kids could really teach us a lot about ourselves? Like, sometimes they're like, yo, just be a little free, just a little bit, let it go a little. So
your 6-year-old comes at you and be like, Mom, look at my painting. I was like, oh, all right. Oh, all right.
And don't sleep on Google, right? I know that, Ariel, you had sent a list of like from Google about artist dates. Like, because they're kind of different from self-care dates. So don't sleep on Google and finding some artist dates. There's definitely lists out there, because I was Googling stuff too, trying to get different ideas. When you don't think about it, like, what do you do for fun? It's been a long time. Shoot, you don't really know until you start Googling. They're like, oh yeah, they used to like doing that.
I know, like, it is hard thinking about what we do for fun, but then we also got to think, like, why is that hard? Why is thinking about the things we like to do, why is that hard?
That part.
Because we pay our bills, like just exactly why is it hard? What is stopping me from having fun? Do we know how to have fun? Let's be honest. Do we know how to have fun?
I think that's a big issue, right? Like Teresa has said, when people say, what's your hobby? A lot of people, I was thinking that the other day, people ask me like, oh, you live by yourself and what do you do for fun? Like, damn, you have fun? You ain't bored? And I'm like, so wait, I'm like, well, what do you do for fun? They're like, I don't know. And I was like, damn, so mad. Like, and then almost everybody I ask, they really don't know. It's like, I go to work, I come home, I don't know, I watch Netflix. And I'm like, okay, but Netflix is not like giving you the most joy in the world. So like, what do you do for fun? And it is kind of sad almost that adults don't really we don't have fun. We like low-key have to, it has to be like our kids having a party or it's somebody's birthday, then we make it a special occasion. Like, why can't we just celebrate ourselves and incorporate joy every day? Right. Like, that's what I'm, wondering. Like, where did we lose that? Why is it like have fun, and then now you hit a certain age, no more, just go to work and go home? Yeah. Like, what? This can't be life.
Let's actually talk about that for a quick moment before we jump into the chapter 5, which I have a ton of notes on. I'm sure you guys was just like highlighting, like, oh. But let's talk about that really quickly. How are we having fun? What does that mean to us? Like, how are we having fun? Like, we could drop it in the chat real quick. Just one thing that we used to do that was fun. Just like, what does having fun even look like? Does it look like endless laughter? It hit me the other day, like, Netflix is not that fun. It's entertaining. It's entertaining, but I don't know if it's fun. Like, I never walk away feeling like that was fun. So
my 2 favorite things are, I love laughing and then crying and being like, oh, like getting a 6-pack. I don't know, like, something about that is like so fun to me. And like when I'm about to pee my pants, I'm like, no, guys, stop. And they keep going. And my second favorite thing, I like to do it when I'm doing my skincare, I do my skincare like in my sweatpants and like a bralette kind of, or like a tank top bra kind of thing. And I'll just belly dance or try and whine and like, or do like some twerking or just dance. And it's so much fun. I don't know what it is, but those two things bring me like the utmost joy.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. You know what's fun to me? Like when you walk in with your friend and you like race you to the corner, you start going crazy. You start going crazy. Like that's fun to me. And my boyfriend, he just moved into like this new apartment, so his floors is like super slippery. So I was putting on socks the other day, and I was like, oh, like I feel like I'm skating. Like I don't know. I'm very childlike. I'm very childish. I'm very silly. So somebody said definitely dancing to Beyonce or Ciara. Yeah, I'm always Beyonce when Black is King come on. I'm always her. How else are we having fun? Are we rollerblading? Are we going on hikes? Are we bike riding? I don't know if you guys are on the East Coast, but the weather's starting to get a little bit better now.
I need a bike. I've been saying that for years. I keep buying my son a bike every year, and I always be like, I'm gonna come get me a bike. And I'll never buy myself a bike. I need to, but he'll never want to ride bikes with me. He's 13 now. He's like, nah, you're not coming with me. So it's kind of hard. And I'm like, all right, I gotta go by myself. So it is trying to find fun things to do that actually, I used to love bike riding by myself when I was younger, but low-key, I feel that's a limiting thought now that I keep hesitating on buying a bike because I don't need anybody to ride a bike, right? I could go ride bikes by myself. I'm out here talking myself out of it.
But it's also interesting how quick we are to indulge into something for someone else. But when it comes down to us, it's like we hesitate or there's always a reason or anything like that. But okay, guys, so let's get into chapter 5. Chapter 5 was all about the sense of possibility. And this chapter was really, really powerful. I really enjoyed it. How does everyone else feel? Y'all enjoyed it? I thought it was really good. Oh,
yeah. I had to read it twice.
You had to read it twice, right? How you like run it back, please?
Yeah, I had to read it.
Run it back? Because she kind of starts off with the heat when she was talking about limits, which is, I'm not sure if you guys have this copy or if you have the PDF version that's from the website, but it's going to be like the first page of week 5. Do you guys read the quotes on the side?
Yeah, sometimes they hit more than the content.
Yes, I was gonna say those quotes be hitting hard. Some of them I be journaling separately. I'm like, yeah, this is good. I like this. I'll tweet this later.
Yeah, for
real. Because they were really, really good. So one thing that I thought was really powerful in week 5 was when she talks about tuning into our voice or our higher power. And she goes, we tune into our voice, our higher power, and then we discount it as crazy or impossible. And then we take ourselves so seriously and don't want to look like idiots for trying. And we kind of just talked about that earlier with Armisha. Is it? Yeah.
Yes, that's right.
Oh, thank you. We talked about it earlier when you were like, oh, like the painting got to be right. It got to be right. Like what, and it kind of sucks the joy out of it. And I love that she called it our higher power. And I thought that was really interesting, like calling it, why is it important for us to call our creativity our higher power? I think it's because it forces us to tap into who we want to be and tap into our purpose. Because even though we're drawing and we're coloring and we're painting and we're doing things like that, that might not be our purpose, but I think it aligns us to our purpose. It allows us to be more creative in other ways in our lives. Like, how did anybody else feel about that when she was just like, we discount some of our stuff as crazy? Edie said, I think it's because creativity is another quality that makes us more in God's or the universe's image. That's a fact. That's such a fact.
I think because it's not tangible, right? Like creativity is something we're literally creating that from us. Like that's when you're creating something, you're literally just making this out of thin air. So it's not in front of your face. So it's like thinking of it as your higher self. To me, it's kind of like when you know your full potential. You work to get to your full potential. So it's kind of like thinking of your creativity in a way of if I tap into that, I'm gonna be able to see other aspects of myself that aren't right here in the mirror. You know what I mean? Because you're not getting it unless you actually work on that side of yourself.
Mm-hmm. But then she also proceeds to say, we're always in a spiritual position of having an unlimited bank account. I was like, what's she talking about? When she said that, I said, an unlimited bank account? What are you talking about? Do you, what type of money are you talking about? Like, what type of rich is she talking about when she said that? I thought that was really interesting as well. And I love that she intersects like spirituality with our voice and with our purpose. Like, she makes it all sound like one. And that makes me feel like, okay, you see me. Okay, this is what I'm trying to uncover. But yeah, how did anybody else feel about that when she was like, we're in a spiritual position of having an unlimited bank account? In the comment. Yeah, these close friends.
I like when she said, like, piggybacking off of that, God is as powerful as you see him. So I was like, I saw that last night and I was like, anything's really possible if I say my God or my universe, our universe is possible. So if I put a limit on it, like, oh, I can't start a business because I don't have money, then I'm never going to start that business. Mm-hmm. But if I even just make like a small 3-step plan of, okay, this is my business name, this is what I want to do, and this is like the color I associate with it. Then she talks about how if you just take one step forward or just even say maybe instead of no, the door will just start opening and little things will start happening. And I'm like, I just picture myself sometimes when I think that I'm not worthy enough or I don't have enough or whatever my scarcity is that if you and I were standing at the ocean and our arms are like all the way ear to ear, you still get what you need and I still get what I need because the ocean's endless. So it's like, why would I think that God's not powerful enough if I'm praying to him? Obviously he has to, or she has to do something. So I just always picture myself at the ocean. I'm spreading my arms out as long as I can, and you're spreading your arms out, and she's spreading her arms, and she's spreading her arms, and we all still get filled. I'm like, I can get what I want then.
Yeah. She also on the next page, like, I just want to piggyback off of that. She also on the next page says, the vision seems to suddenly be in place, right? So like the vision, like what we want, what we aspire to be. She says, in other words, pray to catch the bus, then run as fast as you can. I was like, wow. She said, for this to happen, first off, you must believe you are allowed to catch the bus. Did that trip anybody else out? I was like,
yes, definitely.
I said, do I think I could catch the bus? I think I could catch the bus. But some days I don't think I could catch the bus. Some days I don't think I'm fast enough.
I was gonna say sometimes it's fleeting, right? Some days I'm like, I'm catching that damn bus. And sometimes I'm like, I don't know, right? It's like having that unwavering, no self-doubt is like that unwavering confidence, I guess you would call it. That's what she's saying. It's easier said than done, right? She says it. I'm like, damn, that's so true. But I mean, it's easy to say it.
Right. And it also had me feeling like pray but work. That's the kind of vibe I got from it. Like, okay, pray, cool, absolutely, but work. You have to work. You have to run as fast as you can. Like after you gotta just zoom and go off. So I thought that was so. Risha said I hollered like I was in church when I read that. Yes, because that.
Same. It reminded me, like, you know, and they say you want a cake and you ask God for the cake, right? He gives you all the ingredients. You still got to make that damn cake, bro. Right. So it's kind of like you can get what you want, but you still got to work for it. You still got to put in the steps, right? So it's the energy.
And to just putting in the steps, it's like, oh, can anybody hear me? No.
Yeah.
Oh, yay. Okay, cool. And I can give context to what I'd said earlier. I think in addition to putting in the work, it's also like, what's getting in the way of you doing the work? And then how can you also clear that road, right? Because I think that the thing that this chapter cemented for me, and even just relating to what I shared earlier, is that like we have this idea of God that's very Old Testament, God, the universe, whatever. When it's like The New Testament exists for a reason. Like, God is forgiving, God is ever expansive. Like, bringing it back to the whole unlimited bank account, like God has all this love, all this purpose, all this joy for all of us, and we expect, you know, God to reprimand or punish us the way that a parent would, when God is more than our parents. You know, like God is deeper in their capacity for everything. So it was really like, again, I think it also just ties really nicely into to like, what are we letting ourselves do, like, you know, and the artist and the inner child sort of piece, right? Because it's like, again, as an inner child, like when you're telling yourself you can't do something, or when somebody's telling you you can't do something, it's likely, like, as I said, the parental voice, or at least for me, just growing up with Black parents, like, you know, like they give us instruction because they want to protect us from a world that does not protect us and protect Black people, right? Which is why I do realize I move through the world with a lot of anxiety, with a lot of risk averseness. But again, that's because of my safety. And I think that for me, like reading this book, understanding this chapter, like it's been like allowing myself, I admit, like before I try something, I think, is this safe? Is this secure? But I'm starting to realize now through this book, it's like God has my back, you know,
Always.
like back. God gives me resources. You know, if I don't have my God does have resources for me that have my back if I don't, you know, in moments where I can't. So that's just like my testimony, me sharing a little bit about my response to that.
Thank you for that.
Can I share something?
Yes, please. Everybody, if you want to talk, you can talk. Paige, I don't know if that was an accident with your hand being up, but please unmute. Like, just let's talk. This is a community thing.
No, I wanted to like say a Big Sean quote, but then I ended up typing it in there anyway. But I liked that quote too. It wasn't a mistake.
Okay, cool. Armisha, what were you gonna say?
So for me, like going back to that whole pray and then run as fast as you can. Like I had to think back, like when I didn't have a car, taking my son to school on the train, I would time the train going to my job, which was one stop away. But when we were getting off, I would be like, all right, I got 7 minutes to run you to this school, which is a block away. And I got to haul tail back to catch this train so I'm not late for work. And so going to that, it was just like, you got to think back, like everything you pray about eventually happens.
Yes.
You gotta have the unwavering faith. Yes. And me, I fall off. I won't lie. Like before 2020 hit, I had a little bit of a spiritual awakening, but I never really got into it. Right. But then I realized unexpected money used to just fall in my lap and I ain't never asked for it. I would always, when she got down to one reason we are miserly is because we have the scarcity thinking. And I was like, wow, like, why am I so afraid now that I'm starting to trust God more? Why am I so afraid now? But back then I had that poverty mindset. I'm broke. So I always need money. Right. But now it's like my finances is getting much better. I'm working on credit. And now I'm like, dang, I'm going to run out of money. Like, no, sis, you're not going to run out of money. Now is your time to manifest everything that you want, everything you've been asking for, put it all on paper and it's going to come. Now you have the right mindset to spend your money. You know, you're not in that broke mentality no more. So don't be scared about, you know, abundance that's coming. So that's
that's a good one.
Woo! What? No, for real. That was a word. That's such a fact. And we kind of talked about this last week as well about, or was it the week before when we talked about like how answered prayers are a little scary, how they like, they come true. And then it also has me thinking like a lot of the things I used to pray for a year ago, I have now. Like it's so interesting the way time works. It's just like then I wanted to be here and now I'm here, I want to be there. So it's really important for us to 1, practice gratitude, and 2, be present. But also 3, remember that abundance don't got no limit. Abundance don't got no limit. Abundance ain't gonna come to the door and close it. Abundance ain't gonna be like, oh, lock it. Abundance don't do that. You know what I mean? But it's an overflow. It's a well. Like here. And she also talks about that in the book as well. Like right after she says that line, she says, we don't want our luck to run out. We don't want to overspend our spiritual abundance. Again, we are limiting our flow. Like, why? Why do we do that? It's not like somebody gonna come and steal it.
like when you were like last week when you were talking about how you apply for the lottery home.
Oh yeah.
So here in DC, we have the same thing, and I'm on the list to like every time they send out a lottery, I apply for whatever I think I can do, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna apply for it. Then I'm like, oh, I ain't gonna get it. Like, why do I need to? I'm like, why do I need to stress myself out paying $1,600-$1,700 for rent when the government is out here giving us these lottery discounted new apartments that they're building? Like, why can't I get one? You know what I'm saying? So I had to, like I said, that mindset thinking. I had to flip it. Like, I'm gonna put my name on this list. If I don't get that one, that means it's not for me. Something else is going to come better.
Absolutely. Not only is something else going to become better, but sometimes I feel like it's a little relative, because when that situation happened to me and my rent was going to be $800, I was already in my mind like, oh, with $800 rent, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. Woo, boy, like I was going crazy in my head. And then when I didn't get it and I had to pay like way more rent than that, it was so interesting the way more opportunities and more money and more blessings kind of came into my life. Sometimes I feel like if all would have went well, like what if I would have not like my neighbors, or what if I would have been penny pinching for the 800, but now that I'm in something more expensive, I sometimes feel like I've attracted more abundance to come. Like, okay, my bills are higher, but so are my blessings.
Yes.
You feel me? So I'm gonna take what I can get when I can get it. So, it, and yes, and the divine timing is everything. Another thing is too, she also says nobody is losing when, does anybody have anything else that they want to add?
No, I was just gonna agree.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, me too. The same thing like literally happened to me because I often I'm seeing things that I had manifested for and wrote down for many years, like years ago, happening to me. And I was like, wow, it's crazy because the universe waited for me to get in a position to be ready, to be able to receive my blessings and manifestations. And now that it happened to me, I'm like, I'm shocked, and I'm just like, wow. So everything that I've been saying, everything that I've been praying, writing down, is finally happening, and I'm just like, I'm amazed. And I wrote in the chat that there is this quote that says, well, we all know it, seeing is believing, but apparently it's the other way around. We're supposed to recite that mantra: believing is seeing.
Yes.
Woo!
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes.
So there's this book by Deepak Chopra. It's called The 7 Spiritual Laws of Success. And he talks about that. He talks about how it's actually he said it in some fancy weird way, but he was like, what you see, you don't see, and you see when you see it because you saw it when you see it. And I was like, oh, I already saw it and then I believed it. Not I believed it and then I saw it. No. I already believed it and then I saw it. Not I saw it and then I believed it. Like, it's not the other way around. I'm upset I fucked that code up. But yes, that is so true. That is so true. You just have, and someone, ED said that's exactly what faith is. That is what faith is. Faith is the net will be there the second I fall. The wings will grow the second I jump.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Oh, word.
It always starts with an idea.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, you go.
Yeah, no, I was gonna touch on what we were talking about earlier about, how there's like no limit on abundance. And like I was thinking about that even this week, how pretty much like everything is an idea, and like, ideas are abundant themselves, and like ideas turn into, actual physical monetary things and monetary gains. And like, it's just thinking about it when it comes back to just the idea, it's like, it's just endless. Ideas are endless. That's all I wanted to touch on. Like, that's, I think, what I took that quote to mean.
Yeah, I think that's such an interesting way of looking at ideas too. Ideas are abundant. They really are. I used to feel overwhelmed by my ideas. I used to feel like, oh, I can't do that. That's crazy. But they're abundant. Therefore, I can be abundant. Therefore, I thought that. Therefore, it happened.
Real quick before you go on to the next thing, how do you handle that? Like knowing, say you're in that belief mode of, now I know I'm abundant, I have all these ideas, I have these great ideas, but now it's like, do you schedule them out? Like, how do you then attack them all? Because you don't want to push it away because you're saying, okay, I'm capable of this. But let's say you have, 7 goals on your thing that you want to get done, and I can do all this. How do you like wrap your head around making it happen? Do you just kind of pick one and start there and go down the list? Or like, how do you prioritize your ideas when they're flowing?
Does anybody else want to answer that? Because I have an answer as well, but I want to like open up the conversation a bit.
I think I feel like it's just like reflecting on the last time you did something and how you got there to doing that thing. Like, and I know it's really abstract, but like, I'll give an example as myself. Like, if you're someone who you're more motivated, like for example, with fitness, right? Like there's some people who are just more motivated by being in the group class. So like, that's how they get their fitness in, is by going to the group class, right? Versus some people I feel like are very motivated just in and of themselves. Some people are organizing and schedulers. And when they schedule it, that's how they visually see it. Like, I feel like I heard you earlier say that you need a routine and you have a schedule. So honestly, I feel like you know yourself. You just said what you should do. And I think that the second step to what you should do is whatever you decide, whether that's like you do a group, I mean, you're here, that's, part one, whether you do that or you do something else. Your second step should be accountability, right? Like, and that's again, like, how are you keeping yourself accountable if you are somebody who's very self-motivated? Or if you want a partner, or like, if like when Ariel said earlier, like sometimes we are more enthusiastic to support others than support ourselves. That is definitely me to a T. Hashtag empath problems. And I've started like outsourcing my goals, if that makes sense, and finding people to do it with. So for example, like working out, like I have a deal with one of my friends who has a similar goal to me. Like, you have to hold me, like we have to work out together. Like the text check-ins don't work for me. Like we have to be doing the thing together, and that's how I know I'm going to do it. And I show up, I admit, yes, because I don't want to disappoint her, but like, and now that I've been doing this for a month, I actually now show up now because of myself, and like, because I'm not just doing it. Yes, it started out with me wanting to like not be a quote unquote bad friend, but now I'm showing up to our workouts. I'm excited about planning what we want to do. I think somebody else earlier talked about like, even with the artist day, it's like finding a little bit of time. I started working on, I'm not gonna lie, 5-10 minute workouts. Check done. And then I like literally the next week I was on to 30 like quite easily, so I think that, yeah, I mean, my answer to your question, as I said, is like, yourself. It sounds like for you, you're a scheduler. I'm somebody who I thought I was a scheduler, and the alerts be going off, I be ignoring them.
Never said that.
No, but me and my therapist have decided that I'm somebody who like, I plan, and I think that I've already done it because I've already planned it. But again, maybe you actually follow through. That's just me. So that's why I've realized I need to be in the trenches. I need to be with somebody. That's the best way to hold myself accountable. And yeah, then you rinse, repeat, and then you start wanting it, for yourself and doing it for yourself. And you get to affirm yourself throughout your journey too. Like, I feel like it's also okay if this is where you are today. That doesn't mean this is where you're going to be in 3 months,
Absolutely.
Right.
Thank
you. Oh, that was such a nice one.
Right? That was great advice. Great answer. Thank you.
I love this book club. I love this book club so much, guys. I'm so grateful. I really am.
Me too.
Does anybody else want to add to that? Okay. What I was gonna say is, because I've been in this little minimalism bag. I've been on their podcast, watching all the interviews. I watch both documentaries. I'm in their bag, like literally. So, one thing that I think that I'm learning that's very, very powerful is when I did declutter a lot of my things, and I only kept things that I felt was intentional and valuable to me, I still felt like I have too much stuff. Like, I still was like, how is everything valuable to me? Like, how is every idea good? How do I want to do every single idea? So I think when it comes down to like mapping it out and scheduling it and like trying to prioritize a lot of our ideas, it's important to make sure that they're in alignment with the end goal. That's one. Like, are they in alignment with me making more money, if that's your end goal? Are they in alignment with me moving, if that's your end goal? Like, are some of these ideas going to push you forward to your end goal? That was one. And then if they all are in their own like kind of weird way, I think the second thing is like, what's gonna bring me joy? like literally what's going to make me feel good. Because a lot of the times I think something's going to make me feel good, but then when you start doing it, you like, nah.
Right. Yeah,
It's
that's
not
true.
fun.
That's
This
true.
is not fun anymore. I think that's, and then lastly, just like, what is the most valuable to you? Like, what's something that's like, I can't do without, like, I have to get there. And that's how I felt about this book club. I felt this about this book club for a long time. I'm like, I revisit this book once a year. That's for starters. I'm always reading, and I'm like, I want to talk to people, and I have so many other things going on. Like, I'm sure we all do, but I was like, I want to get this done, so I'm gonna just do it. And whoever it's so important to me. So I just think that when things are very, very important to you, that's like, if it's valuable, does it help with the end goal, or does it just make you feel good?
Thanks. That's awesome. Thank you.
So yeah, I kind of went on a little tangent just now, but yes, absolutely. So she does say, like, right after she talks about how abundance is ongoing, it's no limit to it, she goes to say, like, if this sounds too airy fairy to you, I made that up, but she said, oh, if it sounds too airy fairy to you, ask yourself honestly, what next steps are you what next steps are you avoiding? What dream have you discounted as impossible because of your resources? And I thought that was really powerful as well, because sometimes I feel like we can't do our creative hobby, we can't do certain things until we have resources. I just want to make sure. Yeah. Does anybody? Oh yeah. Wait, hold on one second. Okay. Oh, okay. So I actually freestyled that, but we can still talk about it. What I was saying was, what type of things are we like discounting as impossible due to our lack of resources? Like, do we ever feel like, oh, I can't do that because I don't have money, or no? We all got money.
No, we all don't got money, but not all y'all. I mean, I'm speaking on myself. But I can agree to that, because I've been holding off on starting my clothing line, because I'm sitting there searching for the perfect graphic designer, or I'm like, I don't want to spend this much money on this, that, and the third. And I'm like, why am I already doubting myself and I ain't even start yet? Like, why am I discounting myself from the beginning when if I'm going to invest the money, I got to believe that it's going to come right back to me, because God gave me this download in my head to say, I want you to do this, So when I highlighted all of that after the airy fairy, I was like, oh, you're not going to just slap me in my face right now, just like, okay, snatch all my edges. I get it. Thank you.
Right. I love that you said that too, because she also continues going on to saying, like, finding the river. So just finding our flow, finding our abundance. And she goes on to say, like, the more we do show up with our artist dates, the more we do show up with the morning pages, we're learning how to listen to our artist child within, and it begins to feel more and more safe. Feeling safe, it speaks a little louder. Even on our worst day, a small positive voice will come through and say, you could still do this, or it might be fun if you did that. And I thought that was very powerful as well, because I'd like to see our artist dates and our morning pages and our self-love dates, and even these conversations, like fulfilling conversations. I like to see it like we're watering ourselves. It's like, oh, like, here, you need water. You're gonna grow. This is what it looks like. This is what caring for you looks like. And that's why I think it's so important that it doesn't matter how busy we are. We have to do the morning pages. We have to do the artist day, because it's watering yourself. We hydrating out here, okay? Absolutely. Okay, so on page 96, she talks about like right before All right. So 2 things she talks about that's very, very powerful. She talks about, okay, so she said, I kind of already went over this, but I just want to repeat it just in case anybody else had it highlighted as well. She says, the more we work with the morning pages, the more we treat ourselves more gently. We are less harsh with ourselves as well as with others. And then she goes on to say, an artist must have downtime, time to do nothing. And defending this time to do nothing, like making sure we have the time to do nothing, like, let me do nothing, it gives us courage and conviction. And I was like, oh my God, I don't know. Sometimes I feel guilty when I'm not doing anything. I don't feel right when I'm not doing anything. I don't feel productive. Right. Veronica said the same thing.
Like society got us feeling like everybody, you know, they like romanticize overworking and being like a workaholic and working till, you know, you don't sleep till you die. Like, bro, what? No, I want to actually enjoy my life. But I feel like we all feel guilty naturally because like that, right? We don't spend time naturally, so it feels almost off. But think about that. Think of how much our boundaries have been violated by society that it feels weird to relax.
Right.
I was listening to a podcast about that actually. Before I read this, it was about balancing feminine and masculine energy. And it was like the feminine energy just do nothing. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna just do nothing. I'm gonna not clean. I'm gonna not go wash just do nothing because I'm always doing something. Or I feel like I have to do something because I'm a mother. So I'm always doing something. So I listened to that podcast and then I read this. I was like, you know what? Carissa, just do nothing today. We're just gonna chill. We ain't doing nothing.
That was serendipity.
Imagine if you had 30 minutes to an hour like that every day. Imagine the life, you know, how much peaceful you'd feel, much more peaceful, right? So you'd be filling up your cup, like Ariel said, you'd be pouring into yourself by just sitting there doing nothing, letting yourself just be. Like, we need that more than I think we realize. This is awesome that she talks about.
We need work-life balance. We really do, because right now we're work. We need work-life balance. I think that's important. I think just like not doing anything is important, because she says that when we don't do that, when we don't take out the time to just relax and do anything, that we eventually become like cornered animals, snarling at our family and friends to leave us alone and stop making unreasonable demands. And I'm not gonna lie, sometimes I feel like that. I feel like because I don't have time to just relax and not do anything. Like if my mom is like, hey, drive me here, or I'm like, I gotta do this. I start going crazy on her. She'd be like, damn, I see you in a week. And I'm like, you're right. You ain't see. So it's interesting the way things work. Like we really do need to sit down, be present, and work less. But how do people deal with working less and not feeling guilty? How are you guys doing that? Like, how do you not feel guilty about not working less? I mean, about
Can I share?
Yeah.
Okay, because I think it's Brianna. Did I get that right? I hope I said her name right.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Okay. I used to feel like this, but I think with COVID and working from home, so I work in the field of education and mental health. And for the past 6 weeks, I've had to have like 3 minor procedures. And it was like a pain taken off. But I keep asking myself, I'm like, okay, I'm a salaried employee. We have paid time off for a reason. When we got hired, especially if you have benefits, like they give you these benefits for a reason. We need to use them. But I also think about like, if I drop down dead today or tomorrow, they're going to send my family some flowers or an edible arrangement, and they're going to have somebody in my spot. Like they will find another specialist to replace me. And I know that seems harsh because I feel like, as someone said, it's capitalism, but it's also the American way. Like if you go in parts of Europe or even Africa and the Middle East, like they literally have days off, Friday or Sunday, like it's all about family and there's no guilty feeling of it. So that's what I do. And it took me a long time to come to this because I'm always hearing like, you have to be for the community, you have to do for the kids. Like, what about the families? And I love the families that I work with. but my family and my health is just as equally, if not more important. And so that's how I look at it. I'm like, well, if I die tomorrow, you'll have another specialist in here. So like, you'll replace me. So I'm gonna take this day. Here's my leave slip. So I don't know. That's just what I do.
Yeah.
Helps me too. I also remind myself, I wrote it in the chat, but I also remind myself that part too, like use your PTO days because these companies don't care about you. But the other part is just reminding myself that in order for me to be my best self, I have to take time to rest. If I'm running all day ragged and I'm ready to pass out at the end of the night, like who am I really serving? And how much am I going to be able to serve everybody tomorrow? If I wake up and every day I'm ragged and I don't get no time to myself, I'm not going to be the best me. And like she says, you know, snapping at people, you start snapping at yourself when you're tired and exhausted. You start beating your own self up because you don't get stuff done because you're too tired to get it done. And now you're mad at yourself for not getting it done. And then you're in a cycle and it doesn't get any better, right? So for me, I always remind myself, I can't take care of everything else unless I take care of me. That's just bottom line. So I always that always helps me when I find my days where I'm like, not really feeling good. Should I call off? I'm really big on being the top employee. I want to be there. You can count on my mind, but I have to remind myself like my mind got to count on my mind. Okay. I got to make sure I'm good, right? Because that's the bottom line. Like, if I'm not good, I can't take care of everything else. So just reminding yourself that you need to fill your cup up. Nobody else going to fill it for you.
Amen.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, you know, the quote I just read where she says, we're like cornered animals, and our family and friends, we want them to leave us alone and to stop making unreasonable demands. She proceeds to say, we are the only ones making unreasonable demands. We expect our artists to be able to fully function without giving it what it needs to do so. An artist requires the upkeep of creative solitude. An artist requires the healing of time alone. Without this period of recharging, our artist becomes depleted. Over time, it becomes something worse than out of sorts. Death threats are issued. She begins to talk about death threats and even like some type of suicidal ideations. And then she says like we replace our feelings of joy and satisfaction with the idea that we need to just keep going on in life. And that's what a virtue trap is. It's like, we got to work to live and we got to live to work. And that's just not true at all. Like, not only are we just actively saying that that's not true, but it's not true. So I thought that the ending part was very interesting as well for all the moms in in this chat right now, in the book club. She goes on to say, like, a woman with 2 small children wants to take a pottery class. It conflicts with her son's little league practices, and she wouldn't be able to attend as a faithful audience. She cancels pottery and plays the good mother, seething on the sidelines with resentment. And I was just like, wow. And it kind of reminded me of like any time, like, my mom, I never got that feeling from her, but I can understand why anybody would just feel like a little resentful a little bit, like
definitely been there. Tired as hell. Still gotta take your ass to practice. I'm tired, man. Yeah. You do it because you're a mom, right? You want to take care of the kids, but it's true. You don't realize when she said that, it hit me big, where I was like, damn, how many times over the last 13 years did I put some stuff to the side because I put my son first? And I mean, yeah, that makes me a great mom, but I mean, how many times was my cup empty because I was doing that? You know, I probably could have been a better mom had I thought about stuff like that and maybe, you know, arranged it a little better, but it was always like, no, he's first, which is great. But then again, she makes a point to say, like, how much is that really serving us at the end of the day?
Absolutely. And for the people who don't have kids, like me, like sometimes I'm nervous to have kids. Sometimes the idea scares me because I'm like, no more me time. No. And that's not true.
You got to be strategic with it. It don't go away completely. I mean, it kind of do when they're toddlers and, you know, they're putting their finger under the toilet, you know, under the bathroom door. You don't even second. But no, you just got to be strategic. That's all it is. But a lot of people will say, oh, it's gone. You know, you'll never get time. You make you so fearful. Like, absolutely. No, you get time. But you just have to be smart about it. That's all. But they go to bed.
Veronica, your hand is raised. Do you want to say something?
Yes, I mean, I love all of this, and you know, one of the things I wanted to add on is I recently read the Shonda Rhimes Year of Yes book, and she says something in there that really, I don't have kids, so I don't know about that. I definitely want to be a mom. But she says, what a courageous act to prioritize self-care and give that as an example to your children. And I was like, and then she was like, this entire industry builds around, mother being like, think sacrificing, always putting me first. And Shonda's like, nah, like we should be doing cards that are like, thank you for showing me what self-care and self-love looks like, being economically independent. Like I was like, oh my fucking, like, yes. So prioritize it, even if it's not, what people say it's going to be right or what makes a good mom. I don't know who said that, but I'm like, you are a good mom if you are taking care of yourself. Like your children will look at that, and that's the example you want to give.
I'm about to go get that book. That sounds good.
I love that.
Yes, that book is in my Amazon cart, but I definitely agree with that, because I was that mom. My kids are 14 and 6. And before my 6-year-old was born, like I was a police officer. So I really wasn't a part of my oldest son's, upbringing in the beginning. And then when my second son was born, it was like, okay, I'm not on the police department. So now how do I balance this out? But then there were times where I'm like, okay, I want to do this. They have to do this. So I'm like, well, let me ask their dads. And then it's like, oh, their dads are mad that I want to do something for myself. So they're going to back out and I got to do it. So then it made me feel even worse. And it just kept growing and it kept growing. And I'm like, when COVID hit, I was like, this is it. I'm not going to worry about the people who don't want to help or don't want to, be supportive. My son is 14, in DC, he's old enough to be home by himself now. And the little one got more play dates than I can count. So I'm like, there go my babysitters, Now I can map it out. I can time manage. I can do all of that when the world opens back up, because I've had this time to really say what it is that I want to do and how am I going to balance it out when life gets back to normal.
Right. The pandemic was really, really insane. I felt like those type of moments keep coming up for me over and over and over again. For sure. Does anybody else want to add to that?
I mean, I don't know who else is like a grown adult or millennial living at home, but I will say, like, while I don't have kids, being at home, I've definitely seen the, what do you say? Being at home, like, and especially since I'm an adult now, like what it's been like to explore an adult relationship with my mom, right? And like, she is somebody who sacrificed, who gave up a lot. And I mean, that resentment that I hear, that was mentioned in the book, or hear some of y'all talking about, like, I feel that, right, in some of my conversations with her when she'll talk about having sacrificed for me. And all I'll just say is, like, as people have said earlier, like, I don't know, I'm just because you're a mom, right, doesn't mean that like you stop having needs and you stop having desires. Like, you probably stop having a lot of time, but like I said, like, now that I'm living at home, I don't know, I feel like there's been a lot of like grace and even like a raising of my mom that I'm doing, like teaching herself, teaching her to like, teaching her boundaries since I have mine. So I just want to say that for those of y'all with kids, like I said, as somebody who's an older person, like living with my mom now, like your kids will be able to tell when you're not 100%, and when they're older, they'll probably be able to look back and be able to be like, yeah, like mom, was resentful, was tired, was this, that, and the other, so I don't know, like, but yeah, just wanted to, like I said, share that other perspective that like, I do think that now that I'm older, I am appreciating and seeing my mother's humanity more. But also realizing that like there are times and little things I can do to affirm her too, which has been nice. I think it's also up to her to kind of have to release her pride to let me help her, especially emotionally. But yeah, like I said, just wanted to offer that other perspective.
I love that. Thank you so much. Thank you. I really like that. My mom just started a morning routine last month. I was like, wow, she just started. I've been out of her home for like 2 years now. She just started a morning routine. I think that would be an interesting conversation some of us can have. Like, Mom, you have a morning routine. What do you do in the morning? How do you start your day? How do you take care of you?
Oh, sorry.
No,
to
no.
kind of piggyback off of that. So my mom, she's like 55 now. I don't have kids. I'm the youngest. So I'm like 24. So we're all grown, like and out the house and stuff. But now that we're like grown, she's a grandma and stuff now. But
you said she a grandma now?
Yeah, my sister has a baby. But she texted me and my brother, and she's like, I don't know what's going on with me. She's like, but I'm 55 and like I feel like I don't know who I am. She's like, I've always been a mom or like a wife or whoever. And she was like, now that everybody's at the house, she was just saying stuff like, I realized like growing up and in my 20s, which she tries to teach me now because I'm in my 20s. She's like, I never took any time to just like figure out who I am and sit with myself. So it's just crazy how she's now asking me and my brother for advice on, even though she's older than us. And it's crazy how you kind of have to like reteach your parents certain things because
right.
And it's kind of like a beautiful thing though at the same time. And it made me sad though, because how you said your mom now has a morning routine. I try to tell her all the stuff that I'm learning to do for myself. So I told her, I was like, okay, like look in the mirror and say like 5 things that you love about yourself. And she started crying because she couldn't think of it. She's like, I can't think of anything. Like I've never taken this time for myself. So that's just something I'm trying to work with her for. So I just wanted to share that with you guys.
That was a big hug. Makes me think how many.
Oh my, you muted. I think you muted yourself. Oh yeah, girl, I think you muted yourself. Let me see if I could. I just hit the X to unmute.
Oops.
Yeah. You muted yourself.
My bad.
What you were saying?
Oh, I was just saying how many adults, like, you know, we're lucky that we're learning and doing this stuff now, but think about how many of our older generation have no idea who the hell they are because they literally went their life identifying as like the worker, the husband, the wife, the parent, and then now they're like that. I feel like my mom, she'll never say it to me, but I feel like she's in that same space. She's about 55, 56, and she just lost in the sauce. But she, you know, the thing is, I think that's what it is. She never really learned who she was. And it's so important for us to take time to just to learn who we are, what we like, what we want to do outside of the titles that the world, you know, society gives us. Like you're always going to be a mom, but yeah, when your kids are grown, then what? Or, you know, you're a daughter now, you're in the house, but what happens when you leave and you're only in the house by yourself? What are you going to do in your free time then when you don't have nobody to talk to? You know, like who are you when you're by yourself is a big thing. I think a lot of us don't realize how important that is, but we're lucky. You know, I feel like women, when we're working through books like this and can read books like what she mentioned before, like we have all the knowledge right in our face. So we're blessed to be able to pass that on to our elders, even though they're supposed to be teaching us. You know, we here to enlighten.
I think I like to see it like a cycle too. Like it's just like, I don't want to say the way karma flows, but yeah, it's just a cycle of like, I teach you, you teach me, you scratch my back, I scratch your back. And it just flows that way, especially with parents. Like my mom has taught me so much throughout the years. And now that I'm older, I take a lot of the things that she taught me, and I'm different because the world is different. Now I get to like circle it back around and give it to her. It's all very, like, it's just a cycle, and it's very rewarding to say the least. It's all interesting. Tamia, is it Tamia?
Sorry, yeah, it is Tamia.
Tamia, can you send me a DM? I would love to, like, maybe if you're okay with that, gift your mom a copy of this book. Like, I think
oh
it
yeah,
really help.
Yeah, she loves to read actually. So
yeah, I think she could really use this book. Like, it don't even matter what she's like want to like be creative about. Like, it helps lawyers, doctors, it helps all types of people.
She's even like thinking about, because she's at her job right now because it's like a good stable job, but I know she doesn't like it, and I know she really just wants to like figure out what she likes. So yeah, I'll send you a DM right now. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, you're welcome. I think that would be dope. I think she could really I think we could all use this book for real. But that's why we're here. But yeah. So does anybody else have anything to add? Because she kind of closes it out with like being self-destructive. That's a very
I had one thing to add.
Yeah.
And this has nothing to do with like parents, like with what we were talking about right now, but when we were talking about rest, I remembered something that I heard a little while ago, and someone said, rest is not a reward, it's a right. And so when you treat rest as a right, you do not negotiate with it anymore. And so when I started to think about free time of mine as a right, then I started to make time for myself, even in between the studying, which I struggle with. And I even like share that with my significant other and my sister. And it's kind of helped them realize that like your work is not everything that you do. You have to make time for yourself. And if you don't, then you're taking a right away from yourself. It's not a reward, it's a right. And so that's something that I really like to think of. Like when I feel super burnt out, I just have to like be like, no, like I deserve to put everything down and do something for myself. And also something that I noticed, like I know someone here mentioned that like other countries will like they don't even work as hard as we do. I noticed that exactly a year ago I went to Saudi Arabia, and we would just me and my mom were at the mall, and like the call for prayer started, and everyone literally their shops are open, they just walked out and went to the mosque, and they have their stuff, like somebody could rob them, but they have so much trust in God. They have so much trust in the fact that if they treat themselves to prayer, like when they come back, they have that trust, their things will be there. And so like we were at someone's shop, and the guy's like, hey, you know what, like I will take care of this transaction for you, but it's time for me to go pray, like I will be right back. He came back after like 15 minutes and stuff. But I noticed this, like even in the 2 cities that I went, like if it was time for prayer and the call for prayer was going, everybody left everything that they were doing and they just went to go pray. And so like to me it's like if you have a faith that you value in your life, and you make that time to go meditate or pray or do anything, it has significant benefits to your health. You just have to kind of hone into it and practice it, and don't treat it like it's another act. It's just something to check mark that you finished. Like treat it as something for your soul. And so I noticed that when I came back, I tried that for myself, and I felt like, wow, like even when I'm studying or if I'm like working on something, I just take some time to like do some deep breathing exercises or go pray. It really helps me recalibrate and come back better.
That's right.
I needed a moment of silence for real though. That was very powerful.
Like that.
Yeah, I really like that.
Yeah.
It also had me thinking like what other things can be rights. You know, like I would just say, okay, like rest is a right. What other things can be a right? Like this is my right. Like that's it. That's it. I said like what other things can be that? It could be rest, it could be sleep, it could be water.
Healthy food choices.
Healthy food choices, absolutely healthy food choices. And it's so interesting the way it's really interesting the way energy works, because when I had a job that I did not like, I craved all the foods that weren't good for me all the time. I even craved people that wasn't good for me. Like it's interesting the way energy works. You just like when you vibrate low, you just like I could eat bad, I could be in toxic relationships, like all of that. And I used to feel like my eating bad was a reward. I'd be like, I'm eat this steak because it's a reward. Okay, I spent all day at this job. I don't like it. It's a reward. But it's so interesting, like the way we reward ourselves for things that aren't really fulfilling, and the things that are fulfilling, the way we feel like we need to work up to deserve that. Like that's, you know what I mean? Like that's not always true as well. Like why do I have to work up to feel good? Like why do I have to like I used to really feel like that. I think I have a video about this on Twitter, but I really used to feel like if I work this hard, or if I get this done, or if I check all of this off my to-do list, then I'm gonna be happy. Then I'm gonna be good with myself. And that's just so toxic to have put a condition on your joy. Oh, like if this has happened, then I'm gonna be joyful. Like that's not healthy. That's not healthy at all. Like, I'm gonna be good regardless. Like, I'm gonna be good, like, no matter what. I'm gonna be happy no matter what. And then because I am happy, I'm gonna be productive. Like,
There you go.
you know what I mean? So I think that that's really interesting. And I wanted to add one thing too about other countries. When I went to Costa Rica for like 2 weeks, I want to say a few years ago. And I noticed I went on a tour to a coffee plantation, not like a coffee museum. Let's say that coffee museum. And I got there about 1 o'clock, and everyone was gone. I was like, oh, it's 1 o'clock. Like, how y'all close already? It was like, oh, all the workers leave from 12 to 3 to have lunch with their families. My ass was sitting there when the cab drove off and left me there, and I was like, wow. He went to go have lunch with his family. I was like, everybody went to go have lunch with their family. And I was just like, wow, that is so important. So I sat there and I just had lunch with myself. And I was just like, this is the time where you just, like, this is what's important to them. Like, not work, not showing me around a museum. What's important is, like, everybody go home and come back. Like, they live in, and it also builds a community as well, because I noticed, like, they'll like catch rides with each other to come back to work and things like that. And the last thing I want to say about Costa Rica is, like, when I was out there by myself, people never, ever, ever asked me, what is it that I do? Or like how you make money or where you work. That was like the least of their concern. It was always, what's your name and who are you? And I was like, I used to always be like, because at the time I was a model, I'll be like, oh, I was a model and I'm studying to be a personal trainer. They'd be like, no. We didn't need to ask you that. We just asked you who you was. And I was like, oh, wow, that's crazy. And it had me thinking too, like, when we go, I really don't think people are going to be at our funeral and be like, yo, she was a banker and she can count. She was an amazing customer service person. Like, I think it's going to be more like, she was kind and generous and charismatic and vibrant and caring and giving. Like, it's not going to be like, they're not going to talk about our jobs.
And how many hours?
We all going to fuck these jobs. No.
No, for real.
It's crazy.
Oh, wow.
It's definitely our culture. My family's English and Jamaican, and Jamaicans, I mean, everything is soon come. They take their time with everything. But in England, it's like they make you take PTO. And even to the point with, like, you know, maternity and paternity leave, like men have 6 months of paternity leave in England just because they prioritize humans. Like, you should be home taking care of your baby, like, that you just made, you know, let that be an American company. Like, there's no way, right? So it's definitely a cultural thing, but knowing that, you can kind of incorporate that stuff in yourself and know, like, okay, I get what's the society and what's like actually what I should do. You know, because we get a lot of shoulds. We should be doing this and we should be working all day and we should be doing all this extra stuff and worrying about what people doing and how much money they making and what's in your bank account. But it's like, really, does any of that matter? No, not really.
I have something to say about what you said about the funeral thing, because my mom passed like a little over 5 years ago. And at her funeral, it was nuts. It was like to the point where like people were standing because there wasn't enough seats. And like, I was not anticipating, honestly, that like, I mean, I knew people was gonna be there, but there was people that literally flew in for her funeral. And I knew, like, I mean, I knew how my mom was for us. Like, it didn't matter what we needed, what was going on. Like, she got it done. She got it taken care of, like, whatever. But she was also that same person for other people. And just like hearing the stories that they had about her and like just the stuff she did for them, or just like just off of who she was, like that was just the type of person she was. And like, you know, sometimes you get blinded by that because like it's your own mama, so you know, you just got to ass whooping, so you like, yeah, she mean as hell, but really I don't know, it was just crazy. So you are so right, like people really remember how you made them feel. People remember how you made them feel more than anything. And it was like, she didn't have no like high, mighty, snooty job. Like, you know, a lot of times we was living check to check, but that didn't matter. It was how she came through for people and how she made them feel. And that shit was just so astonishing. Like when I tell you her funeral it didn't feel like a funeral. It felt like a party.
It was a celebration because we're celebrating our life.
Yes. And so that is very true. People remember how the fuck you make them feel more than what's in your pocket.
And I love that you said that, because it's like, how do we make others feel, and how do we make ourselves feel?
Yes.
How we make ourselves feel. Like, do we sabotage our creativity? Do we postpone feeling good? Do we not show up and then say we're busy? Or do we just lack self-discipline? Sometimes that's what it is. So yeah. Does anybody have anything that they highlighted that I didn't discuss?
I was gonna say that kind of what you just said kind of takes you right into how she says about being self-destructive without even realizing it. Because that's kind of like when you're not honoring yourself, you're almost being self-destructive, not in the conscious way, you know what I mean? But you're like low-key not doing the things that you know you should that will make you feel better. So it's self-destructive, right? But it's kind of like you don't mean to do that, right? But it's kind of like she brought it to the forefront where I was like, damn, you don't even realize that putting that to the side or taking care of someone else, you feel like you're doing good, but every time you put yourself last, it really is self-destructive.
It is. I want to add one more thing before we close up. I've really been indulging into the minimalism, and just like, I'm just obsessed with it right now. And they said something on the podcast that really kind of tickled me a bit. This one girl called into the podcast and said how it's really hard for her to stay consistent with the things that bring her joy, that if there's no real obligation behind it, it's hard for her to like wake up early and commit to the things that make her happy. And I felt that. I truly felt that when she said that. And the guys on the podcast, is Ryan and someone else, like the guys, the minimalists who did everything, they said, maybe that's not what brings you joy, like maybe like that's not what makes you happy. And I felt a little way about that, and this was like the first time I've ever had to disagree with them, and I really do want your opinion on this, because I don't think that is true. I think that things can still bring us joy, things can make us happy, and just because we don't show up for them doesn't mean that they don't make us happy. It doesn't mean that we don't know what our joy is. It just means that, in my opinion, we just lack the self-discipline. It just means that there's certain things about that's annoying, like waking up early, or like for me, like I love to dance, but it's hard, and I feel sometimes silly, or like I don't want to be sweaty. It's just things about it that's annoying that blocks me from it, but it doesn't make me less joyful and passionate about it. So it had me feeling like it was a low key, like a little like toxic positivity. It's like, if you love it, you only gonna do shit that you love. Like if you don't love it, if you don't wake up early, you don't love it if you don't commit to it. I don't like that energy. That had me anxious this morning. I was like, that can't be true. I had called my other friends. I'm like, yeah, I think this is true. So it's so interesting. I just want to close this out to just hear your opinion on this. Like, do you think it's true that like, but then it's also like, if you did love something, why you don't show up for it? So I kind of understand what they're saying too. Like, you can't love it, you don't show up for it. So what's your take on that?
I mean, I don't love my job, but I show up 30 minutes early every single day.
Money, okay.
Right. That's the thing. What's your intent? Like, what's your reason behind it? It's like, because you could love something, but it still could be hard work. Like, I knew I wanted to move, and I knew I wanted to move, but it still took me a while to actually make the move and go to work, 7 days a week for 3 months straight to save the money. Because but it was like, I knew I wanted to move. So eventually you get to like that point where you're like, you love it. So you will just push through that feeling of, I don't feel like doing this right now. And that's kind of, when you're an entrepreneur, you're going to have to push yourself, right? So it's like, no matter what it is in life.
But if you don't push yourself, do you not love it?
Well, there's this, hi guys, there's this verse, I don't remember, I think it's John 15, I'm not sure, but it's in the Bible, and it's like being pruned. So it's like, yes, as you prune the leaves that no longer are green and they're turning yellow and brown, okay, you're going to grow an even beautiful leaf at the end. So if you think about that with yourself, like, yeah, that job made me tired, but it's helping me get to what I want to do. It's helping me get to my purpose. So I see what you're saying in that, because it's about balance. Sometimes the things you enjoy, some days you don't want to, and it's hard.
Yeah.
But once you get there, it's so much more.
Yeah. Does it mean you don't love it if you like discipline? That's the thing, because then we'll be in our morning pages feeling some type of way about ourselves.
I think you love it. I think it like the self-discipline.
I think you have to differentiate between
Go ahead, you're good.
I was gonna say, I think you have to differentiate between lazy and any other emotion. So if you feel really exhausted, then that's okay to like put aside a hobby until you can recalibrate and come back better. But if you're just lazy, then that's the problem. Like, for example, if you really want to paint, but you feel super exhausted because of all the other things happening, say, for example, like someone passed away, or you have to work really, really hard at work so that you can get something, then those things are different than like you have the time, you have the resources, but you're like, nah, I don't think so. So that's when I would make the differentiation.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. What do you guys think?
Bringing it back to something we discussed earlier, right, with like the do nothing time. I wonder if there are times that we don't give ourselves space to do nothing because we're worried about it being lazy. And we like, American culture demonizes laziness so aggressively. So like, when did laziness, guys, become the enemy? You know, like that's just what I'll leave y'all with. But those are my thoughts.
No, you
just dropped the mic real quick.
Real quick.
Does laziness need to be a right? Am I pushing it? Am I dragging it?
No, it needs to be right. It can get excessive.
I was gonna say exactly, because I can be lazy and not get nothing done. So I gotta put a limit on my laziness. Like, I'm gonna allow myself to take a nap, but then I'm gonna get up, or I'm gonna do stuff first, and then that, like, my treat is my nap. You know what I mean? So,
but as Rafia said earlier, rest should be regular. Rest is a right. It should be a reward, right? It's like, let's think about how else you can reward yourself, Mai. You know, a nap is not a real reward.
It feels like it though.
I think sometimes, to your point, I don't think it's necessarily that we don't love it. I think sometimes people are just stuck in survival mentality. So it's like, you do kind of set time to do it sometimes. Like, let's say you do something you love, like on Monday, but you want to do it Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. But it's like, sometimes it takes a back seat because your mentality is already like, well, I got to do this other stuff first. Like, it could be just stuff that you pushing in the way, like laundry, do dishes, or like whatever. But you like stuck in that mode of like, I got to get these things done first though. It's like almost like a survivalist mentality of like, it's like a hierarchy of things rather than doing your joy. It's like, I need to make sure these things are done first to survive. It's like, sometimes some of that stuff don't actually need to be done right away. Like, you can go ahead and indulge in your joy or your creativity or whatever you want to do. I think sometimes people are just stuck in their survival mentality, and that's why they don't fully give themselves the permission to indulge in their joy.
I agree. That's where the guilt comes from. Because when they do joyful, they're like, no, I'm supposed to be doing all this other stuff, right?
Yes.
So true.
I think that's where like people like never leave that survival mode and never get anything done. And I think that's when it becomes a problem.
Yep.
Right.
That's very true.
I appreciate you guys, because I was really in my feelings about that. And I really had to think, I was like, do I not love this? No, I know I love this. Why are they telling me I don't? Like, so thank you. I do appreciate that. I think that's a very important conversation, and it stops us from showing up to our morning pages feeling guilty, or it stops us from feeling guilty about not getting the things that we actually like done. Like, it's okay, but don't not do it all the time. But it's still like okay. But yes, thank you guys so much.
Can I say one thing before we end?
Yeah.
I just want to say this week, like reading through this chapter has just made me realize, like, I have been contemplating on taking a trip for my birthday, which is next month.
Oh, when next month?
April 14th.
Oh, so you're in Aries?
So I'm Aries. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So I'll be 34, and I'm like, every time my birthday, I'm like, I want to take a trip, and I'm gonna take a trip, and then when it comes around, I don't take a trip. And so this year, I'm like, I took off unapologetically from work the entire week. I don't want to be in my house because I've been here for the last year. So I'm like, I'm going to find somewhere to take a trip. Like, and I'm about to pay for it tomorrow. I'm like, I got to go somewhere. But I don't want to be feeling guilty that I'm going to take a trip away from my kids but they've been around me for an entire year. I'm like, I need this break. So
book that trip, and I would say book it. I would say book it on a Saturday. That's when flights are the cheapest. But I'm gonna be honest. Like, because I'm honestly, I booked my birthday trip too. But should we be traveling?
What a mask on.
Listen, I traveled for my birthday. I did the same thing. I mean, my birthday in November. And I'm like, I need to get out this house. I just drove to a beach house 6 hours from my house and stayed in the damn beach house by my damn self.
Okay, I found cabins. Like, I've never been at a cabin, and I'm like, I may just go to a cabin for a week in the area. Like, it don't have to be out of the country. It just needs to be out of my house.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I agree. Just like, I say you indulge into that and travel. Like, we just need that. And it's your birthday.
You deserve it.
You do. And don't feel guilty. A lot of the times I know mamas feel mom guilt, and my mom did a good job at like setting time for herself and going to like kick it with her friends and stuff. Like, she still was a great mom, but your mental has to be right so your kids can be right. You know what I mean? Like, you got to be at good spirits with just like how you feeling and stuff. So yeah, I know mommy guilt is real. Like, it really is. But like, at the end of the day, you was a person before you had kids. You have to still honor that and acknowledge that you are also a person and you do have needs too. Like, you definitely have needs as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
You are right about that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I appreciate y'all. This was very fulfilling. This was very, very just soulful. I always tweet about this book club. I'm always just like, this is just amazing. If you're not here, you wildin'.
I know I'm sad I was late.
It's all good. It's all good. But yes, we're gonna wrap this up. I will see you guys next week. Oh, let's talk about week 6 real quick. I'm just gonna say the title. So week 6, also feel free to invite people that you think would benefit from this. Invite people who you think like could use a little bit more creativity or just like alignment. Because this is an open forum for all of us. We're all helping one another. They can have some input that can help us heal, and just the alignment and serendipity that keeps happening. Like, it could help. We're just helping one another heal. And they could just start off at the chapter that we're at, because every chapter hits. Chapter 6 is all about recovering a sense of abundance, and I'm excited about that, because you know how we was just talking about the well and the overflow. Like, we could think about it, talk about it, imagine it, but what is it like to really experience abundance and to sit in it and be okay with it? So I think she let it up perfectly with the possibility of it, and now it's like, let's sit in this abundance. So her flow of things, she know what she's doing. So yes, thank you guys so much. Somebody said every chapter seems to creepily align with things I'm dealing with. Yes, synchronicity. Just I have better conversations with my friends, with my parents, everyone, because it's just like, my book just said this. My book said you might say that. Like, yes. But yes, thank you guys so much. I'm gonna play a song. I want you guys to enjoy your night, enjoy your week, do your morning pages, and just show up for yourself in all ways that you deem fit. Always that you deem fit.
I just gotta say, I love your accent. You make me miss up north. I hate north. I hate PA, but you make me miss up north. That whole vibe, the way you talking. About to play a song for y'all. I'm like, yes, girl. I just love it. I have to say that. I don't hear it often. I'm in Georgia. Nobody's talking with no New York accent down here.
It's so obvious I'm from Brooklyn. This song makes me feel real good with it. Real good with it. Real good with it.